This was looking like the picture folder. I had too many pictures, so I will try to squeeze everything and maybe I go a little bit. I can hear myself. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is how it used to look like. So as you can see, like I need to get rushed with my dissertation now, because I'm the only one missing. And in all this time, in these 5 years, I have seen that a lot of comments sometimes about Colombia, some good, maybe some are not good, some are more common than others. So I just want to achieve some of those before I start with the short look by itself. And the first one is the word Colombia. It's really common to see. I have seen it in papers actually, like people like seeing in Colombia. Or last summer I was in AOS in San Luis, and I was talking with a colleague, and she was like, "Ah, yeah, I was in Colombia," and I thought she said Colombia, and I was like, "Ah, what cities did you visit? What food did you try?" And then she was like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, okay, we realized we're talking about two different places on Earth. But anyway, it has happened to myself. I remember being a kid and going to the movies and saying to my mom, "Look, mom, Colombia, Colombia." It was not Colombia, it was Colombia. But I don't know who the hell like put that lie in the U, so you cannot read it correctly. So I just want to start saying that where is Colombia for a lot of people? We have at least 3 PhD students here at the museum. I know there are some more in the life science building, and I know even our international students are also having projects in Colombia. So I hope this works as a maybe general background for all these coming talks. So here's us in this dot. This is exactly the Museum of Natural Science in Louisiana. And then here is my beautiful home country, Colombia. And Colombia have 5 major regions. The first one is the Amazon region, mainly rainforests, big rivers. Second region, Andean region. I will think this is the more heterogeneous because you can go from 100 meters to 5,400 meters. It's about, I put it here, it's about 17,000 feet or something like that. And you can go from dry forest to cloud forest to paramo up to glacier. So it's like really, really diverse. Third region, the Caribbean region is mainly, I will say, dry forest. You also get some xerophytic vegetation in the far north, like super, super dry habitat. In this corner, you get the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. It's like really special place because in the geological formation of Colombia, it starts as an island, like a real island, like surrounded by water. And then when Colombia rises from the water, it stays independent from the Andes. So it's like a mountain completely isolated. So all the taxa there have been evolving like for a long, long time ago. The fourth region is the region where I'm from. This is the Llanos region. It's mainly grasslands, savannas, and some kind of other forests associated to uh, water in general. I forgot to mention, I know you know Sara and Darwin, they're from Indian region. So Bogota is somewhere around here. Boyacá, actually, sorry, Darwin is somewhere around here. And Medellin, I think, is somewhere around here. The Pacific region is in the Pacific part of Colombia is the rainiest place on Earth, and it also have a rainforest, but it is completely isolated from the Amazon forest due to the Andes that just divide the country. So it's really cool, like two completely isolated rainforests. But in terms of evolution, biodiversity, why I think Colombia is important? Well, first is the location. Colombia is like in a really, really special place. As you know, like North America and South America were like separate long, long time ago, and all the taxa in there were evolving by itself. And you can see like Colombia was basically under the water. So actually, if you go to the Andes right now, like there's fossils from like um, aquatic vertebrates and stuff like that. But anyway, when Colombia arrives from the water, then it connects to what it is North and South America, and it permits like migration from a lot of northern taxa going to the south and vice versa, like from the south going to the northern. But you can say, ah, yeah, but for example, Panama and Costa Rica are really special places for this migration. Yes, they're really important too. But something that I like to highlight is the Andes. In Colombia, yeah, like Colombia permit the migration, but it also the Andes is like a giant barrier for a lot of stacks. So there's a lot of stuff that come from the north and they go as south as Colombia, and there's a lot of things that you get in south, but they go as far north as Colombia. So it's like that's like the corner. I like to think in a way like if we want to have like a picture of I don't know the general context in the continent of evolution, like Colombia is one of the central parts, and maybe it's the pixel with more resolution or something like that. This is an example. It's a pretty bird. It's really, really weird bird that we really don't know where it's located in the phylogeny of birds. But you can only find it in the south, in South America. It goes as far as the Andes, and then it just doesn't show up anymore. So besides the location, there's also the diversity. I put like the two biggest country in the continent, and also Peru that is another super diverse country. For birds, you know that Colombia is the country with more bird species in the world. For mammals, we have Brazil on the top, for amphibians, Brazil on the top, and for vascular plants, Brazil on the top again. But Brazil is also a country that is about 8 times bigger than Colombia. So if you take that into account and divide just the species like really in a rude way, I would say, you get that Colombia has like a lot of diversity per area. Like it's a really small country with a lot of diversity. Like you can see like there's a lot of species in all the other groups. I checked the information for birds. For all the other ones, I just asked my best friend, ChatGPT. So I hope my other groups confirm that, the people in the museum, I know they can confirm that information. They will let me know after. But something ironically is that in Colombian is really this important part. Sometimes you find things like that, like we didn't sample, we don't have samples from Colombia because it was not available. Or you find maps like this. This is Harvey and Rob, and there's not a single sample from Colombia. Or here you also don't have a single sample from Colombia. And it's not because the researchers don't want samples from Colombia. Of course, they want the samples from Colombia, but I will say that this is main for two reasons. First, the Colombian laws. It's not easy to export things out of Colombia, and it's not easy. I will think it's more like impossible, as far as I know, to index those samples in foreigner collections. So there's like, I understand like international institutions, if they going to do fieldwork in Colombia, of course they want to bring something that they can like as a result. Colombian laws are not really friendly with that, so that's kind of one of the issues. And the second thing that is really famous is, of course, we have a really we have an historical about danger that if you ask a lot of people say, yeah, I have seen Narcos, so I know Pablo Escobar, but well, it's not only that. Like it starts long time ago. I would say that a lot of the violence that Colombia have been going through started maybe in 1948, so it's like about 70 years ago. They killed this guy. They was a presidential. He was a really strong presidential candidate, and that's like after that it came all this basically the formation of guerrillas. You know, when you have a war, you need money, so that's where narco traffic come into the mat. And finally, we get a peace and agreement in 2016. It's not perfect, but I would say that a lot of things improve. Um, but anyway, what I want to say with this is that there's ways to make it work. There's this way you can get the samples from Colombia. I know that, for example, Greg has worked in Colombia. I know that Lara has worked in Colombia. Of course, Rob has worked in Colombia, Jake. So there's way to make it work. You can work with local scientists. You can work with local people. And just like one proof of that, and you can do it in a safe way. Like you don't have to be in danger or going like places that are super dangerous. There's ways you can sample in good places. You can get your samples. And a proof of that is you can see how relaxed Greg is in this picture, right? And we're in a field where US has like a system where they categorize like places 1 to 4, depending on how dangerous it is. Like this region is supposed to be 4, and Greg was just taking a nap. But not only Greg, this is Rob. This is also category 4 place, and he was just sending emails, doing a bunch of eBird checklists. All this is from our expedition in 2023. So for this field expedition, my aim, well, this is the birds I studied, is manacus, or bird and manakins. And as far as we know, with some samples, like the color of the feathers doesn't indicate it's not related with the phylogeny. Also, as Rob and Mike will say, in 2001, phylogenetic relationships in bird and manakins indicate that male plumage color is misleading taxonomic marker. So what I want to do is like get samples of all the taxa, all the subspecies in the group, and build a phylogeny and see if this misleading trait is the rule or more the exception. So based on loans from different institutions and fieldwork I did it before, I have basically almost all subspecies. I was missing this one from Santa Marta, this one from Cordova, Antioquia border, and this one that is the Magdalena Valley. So the expeditions start with this. I rent a car in Bogota, a 4x4 car that will be funny in the next talk. Then the first road that I took was Bogota to Villa de Leyva. In Villa de Leyva, there is the second major collection of biology, I will say, Instituto Humboldt, Instituto Alexander von Humboldt. And they have been our major collaborators in the Broomfield Lab in Colombia. And there I picked up Socorro Sierra. She's the collection manager of ornithology in the collection in the Humboldt Institute, and she has been working there for 28 years. She's really, really good at prepping. She's super fast, and the specimen looks pretty. I don't know, she's one of the fastest person I have seen working prepping birds, so she's amazing. And this was a really small expedition, so the main team was going to be Socorro and myself. And her character sometimes is a little bit strong, so I wanted to keep her happy, so always getting lunch on time and stuff like that. So from Villa de Leyva, with departure to Santa Marta. Santa Marta is a really nice place. Of course, we made some stuff to keep Socorro happy. And Santa Marta has an issue that is really touristic. And when there's a lot of tourists, they don't like people collecting birds. It's okay if you collect rats, it's okay if you collect bats, it's okay if you collect snakes, they're okay with that. But birds, no, per bird, blah, blah. So they don't like. And flowers, they don't like to. Like, it's like, no, the flower, they want to keep the flowers there. So sometimes plants may give an issue too. But we found this local guy, Otto Hill. He's a native Colombian. He belongs from one of the native indigenous communities in Santa Marta, and he worked with bird watching. So when I told him about the bird, he knew the bird, and also he works with tourists, so he know where the tourists are. So he was perfect to find the bird, but not the tourists. So we found it was great. And the bird I work is Manacus, and it is a legging bird. So it gets together, is dancing near the floor, like 1 meter above the floor. But when the leg is not active, or when the bird is not, when there's not a big leg, the bird, when you make the playback, they go to the canopy and start flying over the business. So it becomes a headache. So we set up some business really, really high, and we had success. We catch a couple of individuals. We get as many tissues as we could of each individual. So once we get success, we need to go and keep Socorro happy. So we found some good arepas. For some reason, I don't know why, but they say eating arepa is sexy. So next time you go to Colombia and you want to feel sexy, just get an arepa. Okay, our next place, we went to Cordoba. Is all this department here? You can see, yeah. But before we go to Cordoba, we make a quick stop in Monteria to pick up our local guy, Julissa Navarro. She makes part of the Sociedad Ornitológica de Córdoba. Same as Otto, she also knows where the birds are. She knew the birds really, really well, and she knows exactly where to work, where not to work. Cordoba is maybe one of the regions you want to be sure you're with a local person, because you need to know where it's safe to work or where not. So she had all the contacts where to go. She found a private land where we can work. This is how it looks like, more or less, like the front of it. I have a picture of the house a little bit after. And we have another guy there. He didn't know about birds too much. He didn't work on that. But as soon as I make the sound of the bird, it makes like some clapping with the wings. Well, I didn't make it. I play back. It's something like something like that. I don't know. It's really bad imitation, I know. Anyway, when I showed him the song, he was like, I know the bird. I know exactly what it is. So, okay, we just start going in a hill in the first hour of the morning. We walked like for 2 hours. But the guy's like, no, I'm sure that's the bird, that's the bird. And finally, we start listening to the bird, but we all start also looking, like, you see this clear area? This is where the manacus, they clean the ground, and that's where they make their dancing for mating. We start finding some more, and we start listening too much manacus, so we just set up the nets, and we were still putting like the third net, and we were already catching the manacus in the first one. So it was complete success. I have to play back just a little bit. And because it was an active leg, the manacus don't go to the top, it just go across, like perfect for the elevation of the misnet. So this is how it looks like, really yellow. So one more time, success, we need to keep Socorro happy. So food. Um, this is how food looks like sometimes in Colombia. I really like it because we use plantain leaves, and you just put the food there. This is plantain, eggs, and rice with chicken is kind of a typical plate there. And once you eat, you just throw away the leaves, so you don't have to carry the Tupperware bag or something. I just love it. It's amazing. We have some other animals. We call it morrocoys, little tortoise. The local say is good luck, and we did had good luck, so we found two of them. We had this fungus. I don't know what it is. I hope Dr. Spencer can help us like that. Ah. We were collaborating with Gustavo Bravo, and he always make requests about ambers. So this is the bird he was interested this time. Saques Forus canadensis. We get three individuals, but we got a beautiful couple in this locality. This is how the working table looked like in front of the house. So Corro basically was prepping really, really fast. Then she handled me the body of the bird, and the tissue like between the death of the bird and the flash frosting of the bird was about 5 or 10 minutes. So it was really, really quick. And Julissa was taking all the information in the catalog. So it was like really, really quick and efficient. It was really targeting trip, so were not collecting like everything in general, just like going behind Manacus and maybe some stuff that just die or we found dead. So this is how the collection looked like after only two localities. And then we went to the next locality. It was south of Monteria, and this is actually in like in the hybrid zone of at least the color hybrid zone. Here we meet the Morales. This is Ivan Morales and his daughter Vanessa Morales. This is in Monteria, and you can see the habitat is really really transformed. Like there's a lot of pasture for cattle, and he actually had found the legs before we went. That like 1 week or 2 weeks before they cut the forest where the legs were. So when we arrived, we had to look for new legs. The good thing is that we found only one single leg, but we found this bird that you can tell in the projector a little bit like it's like a yellow, but it's washed. It's not a yellow, this one. You will have to see it here in the screen later. I don't know. But in the same lake, like in its next misnet, like 2 meters away, we found this bird that was completely white with some yellow feathers here. Yeah, you can tell. And this other bird that was pure white. So we get that's all these birds are from the same lake. This is how the working table looks like. Again, Vanessa, she's a biologist. Well, she's finishing her biology undergrad this year, and I know she's doing something with frogs and fungi about the skin of the frog, something like that. And she and her family were like really, really nice to us, keeping us, helping with everything. She was always making questions, asking questions. She was really helpful, and they were always keeping Socorro happy. Like Socorro was really coffee drinker, and she always say like, "Oh, I want a coffee," and they just listen. They just come running with the coffee for her. Our next locality was in Antioquia, Tarazá, right here. Here we didn't have a local guide, but it was private land and the path was really, really obvious, and we just start making playback until the bear appears. We found a lake, but the lake was not active. The birds were not singing a lot. So one more, the birds started going to the canopy and flying over the business. So it was a lot of chasing the birds, but we get some specimens. So success one more time. This Socorro prepping one specimen. And I don't know, yeah, I hope you, well, you can tell the difference. This is, imagine this looks like wash gel. It's not super yellow at this one. Like you can tell this difference. When you have the skins in front, they look different. So all these are kind of near the hybrid zone. But we didn't get too many specimens, especially from the Morales. So we were like, we need to come back one day. So that's and then for the final subspecies we were missing is the Flaviolus subspecies. It is the type locality is Bogota, but it doesn't make sense because we don't find this bird in Bogota, but it actually makes part of Bogota skins. I don't know if you are aware, but a long time ago, like all the skins were put it together in Bogota in a big box and sent it to Europe. And the locality was Bogota for everything, even birds from Peru, Ecuador, the type locality is Bogota. Even you cannot find the bird in Bogota or even in Colombia. So we know that the type locality is not Bogota, but we know that we can find the subspecies in the whole Magdalena Valley. So we were like, okay, where do we find the bird? We tried to find the population that were more far away from other subspecies because my intention is to build a phylogeny, so the less mix I can find is better for me. I don't know how much admixture I will find here, but I will hope that the farthest away it will be better. But So that's what we did. We went to Gigante Huila. In Gigante, we meet Andres Sierra. He's a local coffee farmer, but he realized that bird watching is also a good business. So he has been working in bird watching. Like in Colombia now, everyone is working in bird watching. Like it's increasing a lot. What is good, that is bad because for collecting people don't like it. But anyway, so Andres, he's a coffee farmer, but he also knows about birds. So same story. It was super easy to find the place where the bird were, and not to find tourist people. Uh, Again, we didn't find a good lake, so the birds were going to the canopy. We have to set up the nets really, really high, but we were able to capture two specimens. You can tell this, like this is not pure white. Like you can see a little bit of yellow, and this one is kind of pure white in the throat, and this one is the subspecies from the Magdalena Valley that is a little bit yellower. And this, even is a little bit yellow, this subspecies is supposed to make part of the white species. So that's kind of what we want to see, like what is color misleading everything or just sometimes, or we'll see. That's the idea of the first chapter. We finished that locality, so we had to came back to Bogota, to Villa de Leyva actually, to drive Socorro safe to her home, and happy because she was eating a lot and always happy. This is picada. It's really, really good. It's just like a bunch of pieces of meat. Like you get beef, you get pork, you get chicken, you get all kind of food. Like you can see this like normal potato, but there's some little ones here that we call like papa criollas. They're good. Sausage, my favorite. You need to go down and taste that. I'm really thankful also. Well, something else is that driving across the Andes sometimes it's not that easy. Like there's a lot of curves going up, going down, and Socorro get motion sickness super easy. So I'm really thankful to Mareol because Mariol is the local medicine for motion sickness, and this saved the trip. Like she was always taking it, but the second side effect is that it makes you sleepy. So every time I was driving, Socorro was just something, like she was not there, or sometimes I think she was just pretending to be asleep, so she didn't have to spend too much time with me. Finally, I'm really happy that my sister always allowed me to leave stuff at her house, like all my field equipment. For example, the nitrogen tank is easier to find nitrogen in Bogota than in Villa de Leyva. So I don't want to leave the tissues in Villa de Leyva. So I have to put it there and then keep calling my sister. Did you put nitrogen? Did you put nitrogen? Put a ruler. And but that time, that was 2024, I was in Bogota and I already knew that there was a new person joining the lab, that it was by coincidence in Bogota. So it was actually the first time we meet with Sara in Bogota. So I went there and say like, hey, welcome to the lab. So I think that was basically it. I just want to say thank to all the people in the field that came with me, and of course all the collaborators, LSU, Humboldt, Gustavo Bravo, he has been always supportive with everything, and Sociedad Ornitológica de Córdoba. And I think maybe we have 5 minutes for questions if you have any. Well, I think no questions.
So what's the tally? What's the total number who's collected?
The total number, I was looking at that information, but I think it was like something about 30 manacus we get, and maybe 3 more from Saques Forus, so something like 35 birds in total. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
So I saw that you had the monopolist and then the ant strikes, but then there was something else that you also.
Yeah, that was our parakeet. That was really funny because we were having lunch and we came down from the place we were having lunch, and there was this guy. The parakeet hit like a electric cord, but it was alive, but it couldn't fly. And there was this guy with the parakeet, and we were like, yeah, we're biologists, we can take care of it. And, I mean, we did, and yeah, that's how we got that one. Okay, I think no more questions. Yeah, Tony. That's a really good question. I will think Mm, not. I don't know, but I would say no because it's just how they get together. Bigger legs usually have more reproductive success, so I will bet that even if you don't are not close related, you will get where there are more males just to have better success. And for this species, like I know that maybe for other manakins, maybe you can do the mating dance with close related birds. That's a really good question.
Any last question? Then let's give one last round of applause to you.
How did it? ¿Cómo sabe? Okay.
Okay, little intermission. Get on your phones and whatever you must do. Okay, get off your phones. We're going now. So it is my pleasure to introduce Sarah Velasquez. They got both their Bachelor's of Science and Master's from Universidad EAFIT, Medellin, Colombia. For their master's, which they got in 2023, they researched mouse possums with Dr. Juan Diaz Nieto, but then they saw the light. And now they research birds here at the Museum of Natural Sciences. Since 2024, we have been honored to have her here. She's in Rob Brumfield's lab. She's a Fulbright scholar, and she's all around a well-rounded person and scientist. So it is my honor to introduce Sarah to tell you a little bit more about her research. We gotta get it on the Zoom. It is not my honor anymore. It is my honor.
Okay, thank you, Amanda, for that, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Contrary to Diego, I had a rough time actually knowing what I was living in the presentation because I not only gather a good group of scientists, but also a very good group of photographers. So I ended up with a bunch of pictures to include. So let me tell you a bit about myself. As Diego mentioned, roughly, I come from a city called Medellin in Colombia, towards the end of the northern end of the central Cordillera in my country. And yes, I used to work with mammals, but in 2023, my ornithology career started to actually take some form when I learned that I had been awarded a Fulbright scholarship to study birds here at LSU. And soon after, I joined the Brumfield Lab, and that's when I met Diego in 2024. So before letting you know what happened here, how we got there, let me give you a little bit of background. So I also am studying manakins and the genus Manacus. And during this first year, I learned that there's 3 different hybrid zones. We have the first one that's in Panama, and this hybrid zone have been well studied by different researchers, including Dr. Bromfield, our PI. There's another hybrid zone that's in southwestern Colombia, that Diego has collected some information about morphology and genetics there. And then there's this huge hybrid zone that Diego started sampling and that I'm also working with. And it is probably giving me some more gray hairs in the future because I will try to assess different questions about it, what the width of the hybrid zone, the extent and direction of integration, if any, the age of the hybrid zone, the genetic architecture of the color of these mannequins, etc. But I also learned during this year that there's at least other 15 instances of hybridization in the family where Manacus is located. So I recalled while reading this that I have seen other pair of species in this family that are these species, red-capped manakin and red and yellow manakin, that are sympatric, even syntopic in some places. So one of my questions for now for my dissertation if these species are actually hybridizing, and if not, what is maintaining that assortative mating, or why they are not like actually interbreeding. Okay, so for all of these questions, I really needed some sampling, so that's what we did. Okay, wait. So after a few phone calls and a lot of emails, Rob and I flew to Medellin, Colombia from Baton Rouge. And from my dad's house, we arranged everything and we gathered all the equipment. Even Diego and Andres, our Humboldt collaborator, took apart some parts of the car so everything could fit in there. And we hit the road to go to this town north of Medellin that's called Mutata. There we were doing the next day a bit of grocery shopping in this beautiful farmer's market, but some people were more interested in tasting local food, right? Then we walked to this cabin that was going to be our home for the next week. And here, Doña Leonor, a 88 years old woman, and her daughter, Doña Alcira, received us with some agua panela, which is a drink made of sugar cane, water, hot water, and then lemon. Next week, we did a lot of mist netting, targeting the species. The manakins that were more like an understory birds, and my ceratopepras that were a little bit more like mid canopy species. And these were some of the surprises that the forest gave us. So amazing tropical royal flycatcher, some antbirds, some hummingbirds, such as that toothbill hummingbird that's incredible. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And while working in the forest, we were able to see this bow dog one that's a rare endemic. And so let me tell you that Rob was super happy about it. But we also were able to start catching our target species. There's a male and female Manacus vitellinus, which is one of the main interests of both of our projects. So that's how our days were spent, trying to assess if we had to move our nets, where to move them, trying to get like new localities close by, enjoying the views. And then our nights, prepping the birds. Sometimes we did not calculate well the time, so we had to stay up until 3, 4 a.m. to get them all prepped. And remember that hat? Sorry. Remember that hat? Because it's really important for the next story. So one day we were all done working, and Diego was picking up his hat from the floor. And this is what we saw. A bunch of blue flies coming out of the hat, and this was the picture in front of us. And yeah, it deserves a zoom in because it is fly eggs. Those are fly eggs. And so we thought the hat was done for. But I don't know how Diego brought it back to life. And let me tell you, yeah, it was after a deep wash. So here is a whole team that was part of this first section of the field trip. Many thanks to Carlos Brand, who's a local ornithologist and herpetologist, and to Doña Leonor, the 88 years old woman that received us in her house, and her daughter and son, Alcira and Wilfer, Juliet and Andres, that is our Humboldt collaborator for this first part of the trip. So after this, we hit the road again and went north to a town called Apartado. So here we were joined by Julissa, you may recall her from the last presentation. So a local ornithologist who was also our logistics angel, because you tell her, I need this, and she will do it immediately. And by Pablo Flores, who is a local bird watching guide. So here, every morning, we had to cross a river to go to our sampling locality, and we thought this was a very good commercial for Toyota. Disclaimer. of course, Diego driving, showing his skills. Easy work. So in that locality, we set more mist nets, we were catching more manacos, so we were really happy. And we were even using some forest, like natural fibers, when we ran out of string to set up the nets. But one day, we're going to a very close by locality, and we were crossing this very shallow river with sandy floor, and this happened. You remember the first slide? Okay, our car got totally stuck. And let's take a look at what it was like. Here, we were trying to see how to get this car out of there. But again, there's people that can do something else while others are distressed. So here's Rob again doing some underwater video recording for the ichthyologist, but I don't have that video. So then we called for some help, and this guy arrived with his car, and this is our first attempt. I let you judge for yourself. Okay, more hands, clever ideas, second attempt. And after 5 long hours, we were able to finally free the car. With me driving. After that, we went to one of our collaborator houses in the area, and it seemed like Rob and Diego didn't exercise enough trying to get out the car from the river because they were showing up their push-up skills. Okay, so after that, we went to Monteria, this city that's located close to the Caribbean coast in Colombia. And there we exchanged some members of our team. So Rob came back to the States, and Andres Sierra, our Humboldt collaborator, went back to Bogota. And we added Jenny Lee, that's a Humboldt collaborator, and although she works with dragonflies, she was delighted to join a ornithologist crew. And then we were joined by Erin, our genetic resources collection manager. And so we went from a group of mostly men to a group of mostly women. By this point, Diego and I were really tired. We had been in the field for 15 days now, and we looked like this. Well, at least Diego did. And so we got a little bit of rest in Monteria. We buy some groceries, maybe too many. And then we tried to fit everything in the car that was getting full every day more. And then we also taste some local food that was really, really good. After that, we went to a cool locality. It's called Tierra Alta. And the other one is close to the border to this town that's called Planeta Rica. But first, some more supplies. No way to tell what were we afraid of. So in Tierra Alta, Julio, his wife, and children received us in his house that's located close to the buffer area of the Natural Park Paramillo. And let me tell you that this is one of the places, the most incredible places that I have been in Colombia. I mean, look at those views. Also, one of the places that have been more difficult to access due to violence. So it was really nice to get there. During the days, again, setting more mist nets, catching more manacus as the bird that I have in my hands there. And during the nights, prepping the birds and also trying to avoid mosquitoes at all costs. Then in this locality, we also caught some really nice birds, such as the hummingbird that Erin is handling in both of those pictures. But we also caught another toothbill hummingbird that, if you don't know what it is hummingbird that has this little, I'm gonna try to zoom in. Okay, it's working. So these little structures in its bill that resemble teeth. So that's why the bird has this name. this place left us with warm memories, such as this picture that I will say that depicts how happy we were doing our field work. So one of the things that I enjoy the most while I'm doing field work back in my country is to work with local communities. From this little guy that mentioned he wanted to be a biologist when he grew up, to this working hard father that just wants to give everything to his family, to this other hardworking father that had been given a field guide by Diego a year ago. And so he was delighted sharing with Diego all the things that he had learned from having that field guide. And so this is the perfect introduction to tell you the next locality, which is the Morales house back in Monteria. And so this is the Morales dad. And in this place, remember that it's a cattle pasture mixed with different, with different forest patches. And these forest patches are really interesting because you have different phenotypes of manacus in them. So in some forest patch, you will have white color manacus, in other you will have yellow colored manacus, and then you will see mix like the birds that Diego showed you. So to this point, we had caught only only yellow colored manacus, and we really wanted a white one, and that's where we got one white color manacus. And then sometimes working under the sun and not having really good shade to hide from the intense heat, we would just try to rest. Although I can say that Erin wasn't able to sleep under the sun. Some other nice things that we were able to get here, some antlers like this barred strike, and then this slate-headed toady flycatcher with that purplish eye. And as Diego mentioned, in this area is really interesting because you can see the different shades of the yellow in the mannequins from a single locality. I know that at this point, every non-ornithologist is tired, so stop talking about birds. These are one of the non-bird things that we saw. So we had lizards, frogs, snakes, venomous and non-venomous, and then bats, just like this one. This was arguably the most amazing mammal that we saw in this trip. And then, I'm sorry, ichthyologists, but these were the only fish. Okay, so after this locality, Diego flew back to Bogota, and Jenny Lee, Erin, and I hit the road again to Medellin. We rested one night there and then went down to Cali. That is another major city in my country. And why to Cali? Because the tissue collection of the Instituto Humboldt, which is our collaborator, is located there. So we deposited the tissues, did a little bit of tourism there, and then carefully packed all the specimens with Erin's help to ship them along with Jenny Lee back to Villa de Leyva. So this was everything. I hope that you really enjoyed it, and I will answer any questions.
I was curious if you knew, the tube-billed hummingbird, what is the function of the tube?
No idea.
Okay.
Yeah, no idea. I bet that maybe Gary Sells is a really good, like old and very talented biologist that has been working in Colombia, maybe has an answer on that. Any other questions?
I was curious, like, I don't know if it's being recorded at this point, but what are the proportions of phenotypes like we can observe in a lab? Like, is it only white male monoculture? Is it usually like in the place that you saw where it had different phenotypes in a very close area, like in a lab that had like mixed phenotypes?
Well, Diego has been there twice, but we were able to, in one forest patch, we were able to see one individual that was like mixed feathers. It was not like half and half white and yellow, but it had like a mix of white and yellow feathers to it. But I don't think that it has been never assessed, like the proportions, at least in this hybrid zone. Maybe in the Panamanian hybrid zone, it has been. Yep.
But you've got all of these examples of mannequins hybridizing. Do they hybridize more than other groups of birds, or are they just scattered stripes?
Okay, so it's supposed in the literature, it's supposed to be 20% of the birds have been described to hybridize. So I would say that these are just charismatic birds that are really well known and also easy to work with, like most. I would say that a good proportion of the mannequins are understory birds, so you can actually caught them in mist nets, different from, I don't know, tanagers that really fly high and you have to shoot them to actually collect them. So I would say that is a mix of well-known group and then easy to study group. Yep.
What kind of car insurance you guys have?
What kind of what?
What kind of car insurance? That looks like, I don't know, something happens.
Oh.
Yeah. I was thinking that's a rented car.
I know. No. I don't know. Yeah. And I don't know. He promised he would send that, but he did not. So I don't know. And that became like a fever during this field trip because they were all testing their iPhones to do these underwater videos. And I was like, hey guys, you need to keep your phones working because if something happens, we have to communicate with the out world. Yeah.
Have you or anyone else done population structure with any of these mannequins yet to see if those intermediate ones are F1 hybrids or there's like many generations of back crossing going on at all?
Not in this hybrid zone, neither in the southwestern Colombian hybrid zone. Only Panamanian hybrid zone. Yeah, dissertation coming.
All right, well, if there's no last questions, let's give one last round of applause to Diego and Sarah.
Thank you.
And you can join us out front for Museum Social, unless you are a student want to help me put up chairs. Thank you guys for coming.